You did mention about inflammation. With respect to aging, I would like you to focus on inflammation with respect to good fats, vitamin D, and perhaps, if possible, on the pH of the diet, if you sort of believe in it at all. So that's number one. And number two, in the backdrop of the ancient civilizations, like the long centenarians, long-lived populations of the world, including the Krets, the Okinawians from Japan, whose average lifespan is over 100 years, they don't have heart disease, they don't have hypertension, diabetes, and dementia and Alzheimer's, etc. And how would you like to react to that in terms of how would you look at your recommendations? I think they're pretty consistent, but perhaps some lessons to be drawn from there.
I think diet is probably one of the most, well, let's go to the inflammation thing. Okay, we're talking about silent inflammation, not inflammation that you can feel in your joints. This is silent, insidious inflammation that creeps into your life, and it's because your blood vessels are inflamed. You know, heart attacks and strokes don't occur because your blood vessel gets slowly clogged up. It occurs because you have inflammation going on in the wall of the blood vessel, and then that ruptures through the wall and you get a clot, and that's when you have a heart attack or a stroke. So everything I do is all about stopping the inflammation in the blood vessel wall. And so this is done through a variety of pharmaceutical agents and anti-inflammatories like fish oil. Fish oil is very important to help slow this down. Vitamin D. You know, in America, we were taught that vitamin D, all you need is 400 units. This is sheer nonsense. Every patient I see has insufficient levels of vitamin D. And these are people that come in with tans. You know, so I don't know how it is here in India, but most of my patients are on 5,000 units of vitamin D a day, every day. And it turns 5,000 units. And it turns out that vitamin D is hugely important for preventing cancer and heart disease, vascular disease. We know it's important for bone health. If you eat a high sugar diet and you run high insulin levels, then you're going to have a lot of inflammation going on. Metabolic syndrome is all about inflammation, and that's what causes so much disaster. So we are all about keeping inflammation low. And one of the best tests to get is the C-reactive protein, and that will tell you if you have any inflammation going on. There are several others that are available in the United States. The Berkeley Heart Labs and the Cleveland Heart Labs do a wonderful job looking at specific inflammatory markers for vascular disease. I'm not so big on this pH stuff. Some people are, and there may be a lot to it. Now, the centenarians. This is still a mystery, but I think diet plays into it, plus their lives are not that stressful. They have less stress.
Yeah, what researchers claim, and I think it seems to have been proven in several animal experiments, is caloric restriction and optimum nutrition, the crone. So perhaps, would you like to talk about longevity and caloric restriction?
Well, that's the only thing that has been shown to increase lifespan, is caloric restriction. It's restricting calories, just not taking in very many calories. Being thin and frail, you'll live a longer time. Or maybe it just seems like it's a long time.
So we're running a bit short of time, Dr. Life. I'll take one question from Vandana Luthra, who's here, one of our experts in the audience. Vandana, would you like to ask a question?
Good evening, Dr. Life.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm in the same profession. I run a wellness business, and I just wanted to ask you one question. But before I ask you the question, I must compliment you. I think you're a great endorser for your product.
Thank you.
And I know that age management is really gaining momentum in today's time, and I would like to know a little more on the, your age management, hormone therapy. What exactly is it, and what exactly do you do? And also the growth hormones that you are probably, using in your therapies. We in India can use them only under certain medical parameters. So is there any problem in the FDA approval? How exactly does it go?
With testosterone, it's not such a big issue as it used to be. And as you know, pharmaceutical companies are now making testosterone gels and creams and even a deodorant that they market on TV. I'm concerned about this because doctors are just handing out these prescriptions that they're not following their patients closely. Anyone that's on any kind of hormone therapy needs to have their blood monitored every 3 months or so. I do not like the transdermal forms of testosterone for men. For women, that works fine, but not men. It causes high levels of dihydrotestosterone, which causes hair loss and prostate enlargement. And it results in blood levels going up and down. I use the injectable testosterone, intramuscular. 1 shot a week gets nice steady blood levels. And you need to have your blood work monitored. So my patients get their blood work done 3 or 4 times a year. So that's testosterone. It's not such a big deal as it used to be. Growth hormone, on the other hand, and the reason we have all these problems is because of the athletes abusing them. And that's really created, what I do is completely different than what they do. These guys are not deficient. I only treat deficiencies. Most of my patients come in growth hormone deficient. But growth hormone can be corrected if people eat right, exercise properly, and we correct their other hormone deficiencies. So almost everyone can double their amount of their growth hormone. So I have very few patients that take growth hormone. If I decide that someone needs growth hormone, we put them through a 4 or 5 hour pituitary stimulation test called a glucagon stimulation test. And then that will either prove that they are truly deficient, that meets all the state and federal guidelines, and then we prescribe it for them. Estrogen, progesterone, melatonin, thyroid, these are all straightforward, no issues with these.
Good evening, Doc. I was going through the monitor up there and you spoke about healthy diet. And I know it's a pretty personal thing, but when you mean by a healthy diet, what do you recommend throughout the day? Because I've been a sportsman for 20 years and I've just finished. And the biggest temptation for all of us who've been through a career of routine is to break it and eat whatever you want. And obviously that shows in your body. You're not as fit as you were when you're playing, and you put weight, especially in the middle half of your body. So what, according to you, is the best diet to follow? I'm 40 years of age.
Are you still training hard?
I haven't trained for 3 months, but before that, yeah, I've been training very hard.
So you cannot, do not eat like you did before when you were training hard. So I think to just maintain your weight, eat 4 or 5 small meals a day, make sure you have protein with each meal, and make sure you have vegetables and some fruit, and low glycemic carbohydrates like yams, things like that. I'm not sure how I don't know the glycemic index of the Indian foods, but...
You spoke about healthy fats.
Yeah,
what
that
do you
would
mean
be
by that?
fish oil, fish, and some olive oil.
So cook in olive oil, the food.
Yeah, but don't cook it use canola oil if you're going to
Canola.
cook, because it doesn't break down as much. So that's got to be a challenge for you guys to train like you do, and then all of a sudden stop for 3 months. You should be doing something.
I do it. It's not that I've completely stopped, but it's not in the same intensity as you do as a player, because that push always is not there. You've been at the international level for a period of 15, 16 years, and you've done it at times when your body didn't want to do it. You've gone through pain barriers, and suddenly when you're not playing at that level, you invariably slip down in terms of your training programs, because then there's the push to succeed and stay at that level. It's very difficult. It's easier said than done once you finish playing.
I have a lot of NFL retired football players. These guys are all heavy. Many of them are type 2 diabetics, and a lot of them have had concussions. You guys get concussions a lot?
No, I have not experienced it now.
I would think that'd be a major risk. But anyway, these football players really get into trouble because they keep eating like they did. They don't train after they retire.
So that brings us to the end of the session. For a statistic for some of you skeptics who are still skeptical, 25% of Dr. Live's patients are doctors.
Yeah.
A big round of applause, Dr. Live. Thank you very much.